Christ is king, it's where we belong. Stay with the dream, don't lose your way. Right way's the fire that'll light the day. Keep it simple, let the moment arrive. 3-8 trap keeps the hope alive. Hold on tight till the signal's near. Right way's the trail, we're breaking through fear.
Good morning, fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for July 15th, 2025. Well, here we are, middle of the month, and guess what begins today? Today we begin the third quarter earnings, and we're going to see if the big banks can continue to inspire the markets higher, or if we have a few disappointments to be dealing with. Let's take a look at some of the things that happened overnight. First off, if we look at Asian markets, well, they did a pretty good job last night, holding up pretty darn well. There was some news out that Chinese stocks, they were rallying last night after NVIDIA said the government is going to let them start selling some chips to them. And they had a second quarter growth that beat the forecast, but there is a major concern of deflation over there, and the public is kind of calling for stimulus and some bigger reform over there, so kind of keep that in mind. But let's see, we had Australian markets up 59.90 or 0.07%. Hong Kong was up 386 points or 1.60%. We had South Korea gaining $13.25 or 0.41%. The Nikkei up $218, 0.55%. India was up over 113 at 0.45%, and Shanghai was the only Asian market that was a little bit lower last night, down $14.65 or 0.42%. Now, if we take a look at European markets this morning, European markets have a little bit of a mix, but mostly bullish and just modestly down in the FTSE. Less than $1, 0.01% down in the FTSE. We have the CAC up this morning by $12.40 or 0.16%, and we've got the DAX up 52 points or 0.22% today as we wait for all this data. Now, U.S. futures, kind of interesting here this morning. And kind of normal, continuing to pump to the upside in the pre-market. We've got NASDAQ futures up 140 points at 0.61% this morning, and I'm guessing on the NVIDIA news, selling chips to China. S&P 500 is up $25.75, and the NASDAQ is down $2 at the moment. So kind of keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at those bonds here this morning. Now, our bonds yesterday were being just a little bit pesky, pushing up a little bit. We've got kind of a mix in those bonds here this morning. If we take a look at the 2-year bond, coming in at 3.90% at the moment. Our 10-year bond is at 441, and our 30-year bond is at 495. Now, that's down from like a 487 at the high point yesterday. So easing back a little bit on those 30-year bonds as we head into all this data. Now, if we take a look at what we've got going on here in the U.S. dollar, our dollar, as you will be able to see here, as soon as I readjust that, there we go, is just a tiny little bit lower here today, this morning. So we've got dollar futures right now down just a little over 7 cents here in those dollar futures. So keep an eye on that. We've got gold futures, however, moving higher here today, up $12.70, and still trying to press, see if it can break this resistance up here after breaking through that downtrend. So keep an eye on that. This little upside trend may have to rest a little bit more. We'll see if we can build enough energy to push on through in gold. Right now coming in at $3,372 an ounce. If we take a look at silver this morning, silver had quite a morning yesterday, really zooming up, pushing strongly in that very straight up move here in silver, and then rested back here by the end of the day yesterday. Right now silver is down not quite 12 cents at 38.62 an ounce, still in an extremely bullish pattern. Now copper struggled just a little bit yesterday, just resting in here on COPX. Copper was down just slightly this morning. It is up just slightly, about a penny and a half on copper. I'd keep an eye on this COPX if we can get a little bit of bullish action in here. Pulling back to hold on to that support area looks like a pretty good place to maybe pick up from at any time. And I would keep an eye on Freeport, this resting pullback that we've had here in Freeport, just pulling us back to trend, and I would watch that pretty carefully right in there around that area of support if the bulls start to step up there. Now platinum this morning is up $5.80 an ounce, and palladium, which has been on a strong upside tear, so is platinum, coming in at, up $2.80 an ounce here this morning. So watch those. If we take a look at those cryptos here this morning, well, we've got cryptos feeling a little bit on the bearish side here today. We've got Bitcoin pulling back pretty substantially, down $2,930 a coin here this morning. And we've got Ether down $29 a coin. For Bitcoin, that's 2.40%. Ether, that is down a full 1%. And we're right across the board in those cryptos here this morning. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. There's a news story just breaking right now that Google intends to invest $25 billion in data centers and AI infrastructure across the largest U.S. electric grid. That's going to be one of those interesting things because these data centers require so much power. We have better get busy with the process of building power in every way possible if they intend to be able to supply enough power to those data centers. So kind of keep an eye on that story. That's a big spend, $25 billion. We'll see if Google can continue to maintain that bullishness here in that chart. Let's take a look at these index charts and see if we can gain a little bit of information about how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, we want to look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and we want to be, or what we would, shaking off that bias. You know, so many people look at the charts with a direct bias that it has to be one thing or another. We want to shake that off, and we really want to look closely at the details of the chart. Now, I got to tell you, when you look at this chart here in the diamonds, there isn't any way you can look at that and say, wow, that's bearish. No, it is a very, very bullish chart, and it looks like there is plenty of opportunity to move up if the data that we get today supports that bullishness. And if we can push on up, you can see I've got a area up here. We could retest that resistance up here in the chart, and then if we can get through this area right in here, then we start pushing on up toward those all-time highs here in the diamonds, and we would finally get that breakout here in the diamonds that they have worked so hard to get here on the bullish side. Now, if for some reason that data is not as cheery as we would like to believe it could be, and we see a little bit of bearish activity, well, first I would suggest a retest of yesterday's low as a possibility, and then beyond that, we're probably pushing down here just a little bit. We've got Monday's low that we could test, and then right back down here into this low side of support right down in here. I guess I should have zoomed that up a little bit, but right down into this area could be that possibility. And just remember, I've continued to say this, right now we're so extremely bullish. If we happen to get disappointed, just be prepared for some big point moves. So have a plan to protect yourself if those bears do suddenly wake up and sentiment shifts. Now, if we take a look at our moving averages, you'll see just how far extended away we are from our major moving averages, the 200 and the 50-day moving average. So that just shows you the depth that we could potentially fall if we happen to stub our toe and get a little bit disappointed here in the market. If we take a look at the SPY, also very extended here in the chart, and look at what we've got going here this morning. The selling of the chips, NVIDIA selling of the chips to China has got us pushing big time to the upside, and a new record high here at the open here this morning on the SPY. There's no way you can look at that chart without bullishness. Very, very bullish chart, breaking through new record highs, blue sky above. If the bears were to have anything to say, maybe a pushback to retest this area of price support, and if that were not to hold, then maybe pushing back down into this consolidating zone or support level right in here on the chart. So keep an eye on that. Same thing here with the QQQ, really stretching up this morning with a big pop to the upside. NVIDIA leading the way. Let's just take a look at that. NVIDIA in the pre-market, new record highs here in NVIDIA. So big tech having quite a heyday today, and that big stretch here in the Qs. If blue sky above here in the QQQ, heading into all of these data points, if the bears were to have anything to say, a little pullback in here to test that platform support. If that were to break, then I would say down here toward the bottom side of that platform, and this upside trend would be the next area. Now remember, this upside trend, I don't know where that is. If this candle holds today, I would suggest that upside trend begins right there. So very, very bullish in this chart. There is nothing in that chart that shows bearishness at all. And then if we look at our Russell IWM, also trying to push just a little bit higher today, following through from yesterday's move, trying to stretch on up. If the bulls have anything to say in here, a push on through this area, I would suggest a retest of this resistance up here, and if we can break back through there, you'll notice in here, if we can pop through this area right in here, then we could stretch right on up to this next area of resistance in the chart. So as I've been saying here for some time, and that is stay with the trend, stay with that bullish trend, but be prepared. Be prepared if we happen to run into any problems, if we stub our toe anywhere, if we happen to get disappointed anywhere. Remember, we've got all these major tariffs that are coming into play on August 1. And if the market, for some way, shape, or form, gets disappointed here in some of the data, the pullbacks could be substantial, so just be prepared for that. If we take a look at our VIX here this morning, our VIX, well, no particular worries here in our VIX. We popped up here. I don't have any pre-market here on the VIX this morning. We popped up here yesterday, did break through this resistance area in the chart, and we broke that little downtrend there in the VIX. But no particular worries, because all day long we just faded back. We'll probably see, once we get through this big morning of data, to see just exactly how things progress here on the day here in the VIX. So overall, though, there's no fear here, even though I think there are a lot of things that could create that fear very quickly. If we take a look at our T20s, our T2122, the 4-week new high, new low ratio, you can see yesterday we stretched that back up here to the upside. So we're very, very close. And with the gap up in tech here today, I'm going to suggest the possibility that we could be right back up here in the bearish reversal zone pretty darn quickly here this morning, maybe right at the open, pressing to the upside in here. Just keep in mind, if any of that data happens to disappoint, then we could see a big move to the downside here. So watch that carefully. We're really stretched here to the upside, and we continue with this kind of wild abandoned bullishness, even in the light of all of the issues that could come our way from those tariffs. If we take a look at our T2108, now our T2108 turned just a little bit higher yesterday. This is a little wedging pattern in here. No particular worries in a wedging pattern. We know there's about a 50% chance it can pop to the upside, or a 50% chance it pops to the downside. But remember, if we can continue to stretch higher, and with the big gap up in tech today, we may be pushing this area up here of 70%. And we want to remember, anytime we're up there in that 70 to 80 zone, we are very extended and very frothy, and we tend to find a way to pull back from up in there. So just watch that carefully. T2107, same thing, just a little bit of a rest in there yesterday. No worries at all. We had made a higher high in this, so this is a potential higher low, continuing this upside trend in here, trying to break back through 45% of the stocks back above the 200. And I think with the gap up this morning that we're seeing in tech, we could easily have that push up here. We might be up here in this area, assuming that we get some good data here on these earnings and the reaction from the market. If we take a look at T2101, well, T2101 had pulled back yesterday. So as we were pushing up, we didn't really have a lot of breadth following through on that push to the upside. We did get this little hint of this little hook here on the bottom. Perhaps if our data is really good today, we get that little bit of push up on the bullish side as those bulls come in, celebrating some of these data points here today if the data is good. If, of course, the data is not so good and we see one of those big point moves to the downside and we start seeing that breadth picking up on the bearish wave, that's going to be a concern. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, well, it's what we've been talking about here. We got a lot going on today. One of the key data points here this morning is going to be this CPI, and the consensus is suggesting that the CPI is going to go up. Now, keep in mind, 4 months straight, the consensus has suggested that the CPI was going to go higher, and it was wrong. So if this consensus is wrong and we see these numbers continue to be weak in here, I would expect the market to celebrate, because what that means is the pressure has building so strongly on the FOMC for a rate cut. That could be the catalyst to make that happen. However, if we see these numbers higher and that we see that inflation starting to move up, that would give the Fed the cover to say, no, we don't have to cut rates. And that could also be disappointing to the market. So watch that carefully. And every single one of these metrics, consensus is suggesting that it will go up here today. So watch carefully at 8:30 a.m. on that report. Also in here, we're going to get the manufacturing, Empire State manufacturing number, but we're going to ignore that. We've ignored manufacturing for so long. I don't know why we would react to this. Their consensus is suggesting a -10 up from a -16, so that's an improvement there. But I don't think it's going to matter, whatever that says. If we take a look here, we've got some Fed speak in here. Bauman, Barr, Barkin, Collins, and Logan will all be speaking today. Logan will be after the bell, so don't have to worry about that so much. And we've got a bill auction here at 11:30 Eastern. Looking into Wednesday as you're planning forward, we've got mortgage applications. Barkin will be speaking again. We've got the PPI final demand number, so our producer prices will be in, industrial production, some more Fed speak, petroleum status, bill auction, the beige book, and then after the bell, we're going to have Williams speaking again. So keep an eye on all of those data points here. Could be market moving in any of those data points. Now, the real thing that everyone is so excited about today, and anticipation is high, is on these big bank reports. And JP Morgan has already reported. Now, JP Morgan in the pre-market activity was pumping up there, now pulling back just a little bit on the report. It says that JP Morgan has topped estimates, stronger than expected trading data. We've got earnings of $5.24 a share. They were expecting $4.48. Revenue was at $45.68 billion, up from the expected $44.6 billion. But so far, we're just kind of holding our own there on JP Morgan. So watch that carefully here today. First big bank to report. But other than that, we've got a pretty good list of bank reports here this morning, and they could all be market moving beyond JP Morgan. So notables here today, Citibank will be reporting here soon. We've got BlackRock reporting. We've got Wells Fargo reporting here this morning. We've got State Street reporting today. We've got BK, the Bank of New York, will be reporting today. ANGO will be out there. ERIC, Ericsson, and ACI Albertson. So those are your notables for this morning. Now, if we take a look at this afternoon, some of the more notables, JB Hunt will be in there, OMC, HWC, WAFD. Let's get FD in there. KMTS, PNFP, FULT, and PKE. Those will be the notables here for this afternoon. So kind of keep an eye on those reports here today. The beginning of earnings, an awful lot of excitement heading into it. We'll see how we react to all of these reports as we move along here. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, and you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and also click the bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor and click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment, that helps the channel to grow. Remember, even an emoji counts. It doesn't cost you anything to do it, and it really helps out the channel. So thank you so much for everyone who does do that. And a big shout out for those who share these videos out on your social media feed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means the world to me. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. And remember, everyone, they are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence and be very, very careful in this market. Remember, with the data that we have coming today, we could get some very big point moves, and we should be watching for the potential of some whipsaw activity if we happen to get disappointed here in the market. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that are looking just pretty darn good. I placed an alert here on Ball yesterday, watching and waiting for this potential trade. Nice little resting pattern in here, very bullish upside trend, and I'm just watching to see in here as this rests out to trend if we can get a pop in here. I'd be looking for that upside move in there, worth keeping an eye on. Boy, I'll tell you, Pinterest popped up there yesterday, had a pretty good morning going on, ended up fading back just a little bit before the close. Still, a very bullish pattern in here. Watch that carefully. As you can see here in the pre-market, we're trying to extend on higher. I'd keep an eye on Pinterest in there. That's looking pretty decent overall. Take a look at some of the oil and gas stocks in here. A lot of oil and gas in patterns that just are on that verge of turning really bullish. As you can see here, EOG, nice little resting pattern against this downtrend in here, and we've got that little bit of bullish action starting to push up in here just a bit. If those bulls can push this on through, watch that carefully here in EOG. Taking a look at some of the other oils, you can see we had a little bit of pullback here in Devon, and we may be giving up this little tiny upside trend, but if we get that bullish action in here pushing up, we could recover that pretty quickly to the upside. All of these oil sector stocks starting to show us maybe those hints that we're starting to come around in oil. Now, let's take a look at some other areas here. Take a look at AAPS. Now, AAPS, I had this alerted up here. It did disappoint me here in AAPS just a little bit, breaking that trend and support in here. But as you can see, we're trying to push back up. So get that push back up and hold up here, and then I would look for that next upside opportunity in AAPS. We looked at Google here this morning. Google spending $45 billion here could bring that stock down a little bit, but I got to tell you, the way this looks right now, very bullish chart here, and with the energy that we're seeing in tech here this morning, I think any rest or pullback in here after 4 days up, any rest or pullback in here sets up that next opportunity to the upside in Google. Watch that closely. Let's say the same here for AMD. AMD, as you guys know, I mentioned this yesterday in this nice little resting pattern here. This morning we're popping up here on this energy, pushing into this next level of price resistance in the chart, looking very good here on AMD, and every reason to believe that could continue to move on higher. So watch that close. Take a look at Amazon. Amazon's holding in here really good. Apparently their Prime Day sales went really well according to news. So watch that carefully in here. We broke through this resistance in the chart. I think there's every reason to believe with the energy that we've got going today that could push on higher unless we happen to stub a toe and move the other direction. But watch that carefully here in the chart. Still keeping a pretty close eye here on CRM, although CRM was all set up in there. Well, we faded back, but with all of this tech energy here in the market, wouldn't be all that surprised if that recovers in here. But what it's going to have to do for me is recover and hold some kind of a higher low before I get bullish again here on that chart. But looking pretty good in there overall. Take a look at Tesla in here. Tesla's made that stretch back up through some resistance here in the chart, and now just needs a little bit of rest in here, a little bit of consolidation, and then look for that next opportunity to the upside. You'll notice we broke through this little downtrending area here, so look for that opportunity maybe there in Tesla for that upside move. Not looking too bad. Now Boeing continues to look good. I did close this trade yesterday. Just a simple quick swing trade in here, taking just short of 29% gain out of that trade. Now any little rest in here, I think, sets up that next opportunity in Boeing. And we've been seeing in some of these industrials some pretty good patterns. Caterpillar, this nice little resting consolidation in here. If that bullishness can continue in the market, we might have to rest a little bit longer in here, but you can see this is a very big area of resistance in Caterpillar, and we could break on through there to blue sky above at any time. I'd keep an eye on that. Cummins has been another pattern, nice little resting pattern in here starting to form alongside that trend and against this resistance here. If those bulls get something going in here, I would look for that to maybe push right on through here to the upside as well. And not to forget anyone, if we take a look at John Deere's had a little bit more struggle in here. It's going to need a little bit more energy here maybe to push through this little downtrend in here. But if we can get some of those other industrials to come up, I would look for John Deere to make that move as well. So watch that closely. Let's keep a close eye on XLF and these banks if you don't want to trade individual stocks out there. XLF, nice little resting pattern here coming into trend, coming into those earnings. If we can get that bullishness in here, that may push right on higher. Take a look at some things like XYZ block in here. Had a big recovery day yesterday, pushing back up, shaking off that ugly candle there on Friday. So watch that carefully. If those bulls can follow through on good earnings reports, we might break back through that area up there. At the same time, if this were to push back up and fail right here at resistance, well, that could be a problem and a potential short here for XYZ. So keep an eye on that as well. There are quite a few stocks here, guys, and there's more than you can possibly have money for to trade, and bullish charts everywhere in the market. Take a look at Best Buy trying to break that downtrend in here, trying to push higher. I'd keep an eye on that. I'd keep an eye on things like Intel that's trying to hang in there. Little bullish pattern setting up there on Intel. Watch for that opportunity here with tech that could continue to push on higher. So just keep in mind there are possibly trades everywhere here in the market. Assuming we can keep this bullishness going, then we've got more potential upside in a lot of them. So with that, everyone, hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for listening and participating here. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone who attended our open house yesterday. Had a good day yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Thank you to everyone. And I want to remind everyone also that we have that $7 trial still going on. So if you're looking for a place, if you're needing some help in your trading, love to help you. We are quite a bit different than other places where it's just, pound out a whole bunch of trade ideas. I actually want to teach you how to trade and improve your trading, and the trades are just part of the education. So if you have an interest for $7, I don't know how you can beat that. So everyone, I want to wish you all of the best, and I will see you first thing bright and early Thursday morning. Take care, everyone.
Black and white candles, my stars in the dark. Price is my king, got that fire and spark. Rideways my ranch on the trader's trail, trading with heart where the profits prevail.